Yeah.
So, how did you get into the movie business?
I would say martial arts kind of started with that as well. But as far as the movie business, I mean, for me, it was just something that I've always been fascinated by. Like I said, watching, growing up with, watching some of my favorite heroes and stuff. I've always thought to myself, like, man, I would love to do that. And it's funny, I told the story time and time again, but what really, where I really found that I had a passion for acting per se too, and even doing like action and stuff like that. I grew up watching um, Batman and Robin with George Clooney, which is hilarious because
Yes,
a lot of people hate those movies. I don't. It's a guilty pleasure. And yeah, I used to recite that movie line for line, and I used to reenact it with like my siblings sometimes too. And yeah, ever since then, I always knew that, I mean, I wanted to act in some sort of way, whether it was for theater, whether it was for film, somehow, some way. And that was just years ago while I was young. And then when I was in high school, I was in TV production class. And once I've learned how to use the camera, that's when, part of the idea had struck for me where it was just like, maybe I should start recording myself. And, growing up, I also watched a lot of great stunt teams, like Pana Stunts, like the same people who trained, Tony Jaa and worked on his movies. There was also an OG stunt team back in the day in LA called Zero Gravity, even like Enzo Productions, like those guys, watching them, and they were kind of like the guys that almost kind of like started it all or came from that same generation of really filming their own content. And they kind of made themselves, into essentially like the stars or even just where they are, in their careers as far as like stunt work and stuff like that. And they essentially just created their own ticket, just by filming themselves, just putting it out there in the internet, and whoever sees it, it kind of just goes from there. And so that's where I kind of found myself, and I took the page out of the playbook. With just getting with like-minded friends. I had a crappy little camcorder, for the kids out there, camcorder. And I just started shooting content, choreography, whether it was good, whether it sucked. I just started creating and just putting it out there. And, eventually I ended up getting discovered by a young film director from Full Sail University. His name is Vidal Acosta. And that guy changed my entire life altogether, because if it wasn't for him, he originally was going to do a documentary on a pre-existing stunt team that was in Florida. And at some point, he ended up switching his idea, with wanting to do a documentary on what it takes to get into stunts. So starting off with a new crew, which back then I used to run a stunt team called Genesis Action Stunts. And yeah, it was me and a handful of guys. And at that time, too, while shooting that documentary, I was also trying to film my own short film, which I failed horribly. And that's when I quickly learned, like, wow, filmmaking is super hard. It's super hard. And on top of that, you can't wear all the hats. You can't be the director. You can't be the producer. You can't be, I mean, some can. And you know what? I give it to those people. But I found out, like, yeah, that's definitely not my lane, So it's important to be able to delegate and, again, to try to get a crew that can be on the same page as you and be able to trust all those different jobs with as well. And but not all was lost. One, definitely all the footage that we shot for that short film, it ended up being demo reel footage for everybody, which was good. At least some use came out of it. And also, too, the documentary had released. And funny enough, during that time, while I was filming the documentary, I ended up meeting another filmmaker named Andrew Dean, which was another one who changed my life completely, because he was the first guy that gave me my first acting role in anything that I've ever done, which I count as the first official acting role, because it was I started it, and then it was also a completed project afterward. And it was super cool because I got to play the lead role, and in the film, all the other roles were played by my friends, essentially my stunt team during the time. So I got to go ahead and choreograph and, of course, led in that film. And it was a deep film. It was called Cope. And the story revolved around a guy who was a military veteran and he was held captive for like 400 days, and he ends up getting rescued, and then he suffers from PTSD. And so in that film, the story is about a day in his life of him trying to cope with some of the things that he's been through, and essentially he's trying to drink his thoughts away. And so yeah, it was super deep. And then once that released, life changed. I started getting all the calls, and here I am ever since. And I was, oh man, maybe 18 years old when I first got that part. So yeah, pretty young when I started that career.
So just a few years ago that happened, didn't it? Because you still.
It feels like it. Yeah, it definitely feels like it was yesterday. Even though a lot of things have happened in between.
Well, that's actually a good thing. I'm happy for you. Congratulations on that as well.
Thank you.
So where did the idea come from becoming a stuntman compared to doing the acting? Because I've seen that you were a stuntman on Ride Along 2 as well, weren't you?
Oh yeah. I did precision driving for that. That was definitely an interesting time. And that was actually the first film that I became eligible for, like my SAG-AFTRA card and all that stuff, which, huge thanks to Luis Benitez. He's an awesome stunt coordinator out of Florida. That's another one. Again, a guy who kind of changed my life completely too. Like that was like one of my first like Hollywood gigs where I got to go ahead and like meet celebrities, face to face, and it was absolutely awesome. But to go back to your question, to where it started, like I said, I grew up watching like a lot of stunt teams along with some like-minded friends, and I simply just wanted to try what they were doing. Like I said, they were doing the same exact things. They just had their own cameras, and they started going to places like going to like the parks or going to an alleyway, and they just started filming themselves, or even shooting fight scenes in like the gymnastics gyms, and that's kind of where it started. And we were just kind of hoping, like, okay, something would stick, we would get discovered somehow, or opportunities would come to us, and yeah, that's kind of where it all started. And from there, it started with, like I said, after the documentary had released, and after I also came out with my first lead role in a short film, that's when other filmmakers had started catching on to what me and my friends were doing. And we just started getting those calls to do choreography gigs, to stunt coordinate, or even to act in roles as well.
Unless somebody had said, "Well, we'll buy it off you, but you're not going to be Rocky." He goes, "No, this is me. This is my tailor-made suit. You cannot let somebody else wear this suit. This is me.
Yeah.
I built this from scratch. I designed the suit from scratch to a certain extent." And that's good. Yeah, you stuck to your guns, and you are where you are today. And I've been speaking to you for about almost 40 minutes, and again, without a shadow of a doubt, you're actually one of the most nicest people I've had the opportunity of speaking to. So God bless you for that.
Thank you. God bless you too.
Appreciate you as well. So what was it like working on big shows such as Ballers and Graceland? Because I remember Ballers was obviously a fan of Rock. And what was it? Did you get to meet him as well by any chance?
Yeah, I got to go ahead and meet The Rock. He's definitely a nice guy. For Ballers, we didn't do much on that. That was actually the first Hollywood project that I had ever done. And honestly, I was just an extra in that one, which, if you watch the episode, at the time I had a shaved head, and for those who knew me back then, or even know my tattoos and stuff like that, like they'll be able to go ahead and spot it. And I actually have that screenshot somewhere. Yeah, that was like my first on-screen experience with a big name like that. It was pretty interesting. So that was a cool time. And Graceland was another awesome opportunity that I got to get from a buddy of mine. His name is Raul, and he recommended me to play in stunts to the stunt coordinator for that project. And that was actually when I became SAG eligible completely after I did Ride Along 2. Then it was that one. And I got to be on the very last episode of Graceland, which was super cool. Got to go ahead and do a gunfight and everything. Get blasted through a glass door. It was cool.
That'd be a for me as well. Jump through a glass door and everything, and be like, just say something funny at the end when you get there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It always together. But what's it like working with training and working with the martial artists, such as you've worked with Don the Dragon Wilson, for those who do not know, undefeated 10-time light heavyweight kickboxing champion, and you also work with the living legend himself, Sensei Maurice Crump. What's it like? Yes. What was it like training with him? Because I've only interviewed Sensei Crump myself, and honestly, again, like I said, it was a dream come true to talk to him. He was such a nice guy, and we had a good laugh. And he always, and I just can't wait to meet him in person. But what's it like training with him?
So training with Maurice, it's oh man, I don't even know where to start with that. But it's funny because that all started years ago. So he was also one of my biggest inspirations as well. In fact, he's a hero of mine. And honestly, I'm absolutely blessed to say that, I am mentored by one of my heroes. It's just one of those things where you get to meet your heroes and then, you just never think that, oh, wow, now you're working alongside this person, you're being trained by this person. And he has taught me damn near almost everything that I know, honestly, when it comes to being an actor, when it comes to being a martial artist, when it comes to being an action performer, an action choreographer, and so on. And also, too, like he's taught me a lot of things, philosophically and like in a lot of deep ways. When I was back when I was having my little camcorder and I was recording myself, doing these different videos and these clips of shooting action clips here and there. I emulated him in a lot of ways. Like I said, he was definitely one of my biggest inspirations. And during the time too, like I was also studying like similar martial arts like him. And so it's funny how that started because I just started posting online, and then I forget how I was connected to his Facebook account at the time. He went by a different name. It was called Crump Martial Arts. And funny enough, I didn't know at the time whether that was really him or anything like that, but it was just a page that I was connected to, and so cool. But then, I started posting more about myself, and he ended up inboxing me on Facebook at the time, and he was asking me, about like what are my goals and what I wanted to do. And at first, it was pretty bizarre because I didn't know if I was really talking to him, but I, humored the message, and I was just like, my goal is to be an action star. And then, come to find out, he ends up inviting me, out to dinner. And it turns out we both lived in the same state. I didn't even know that at the time. We were both living in Florida. And, it was, excuse me. It was pretty surreal. Because, I thought that he was living in Thailand, the whole time. And, because a lot of the videos that he posts and stuff like that, a lot of it is from his time in Thailand. And, I ended up meeting him at AddiBiotics, of all places. And, it was pretty surreal. Like he had just, I think, finished doing, or the Protected 2 had just released 2. And, that was a life-changing experience ever since. I got to go ahead and meet him. And he then took me under his wing. And so we've been training together ever since. And so, training with him and training, in all these action clips that we've done together and stuff. I mean, it's absolutely awesome. It's been a blessing and all the time. Whether we are now in the same state or not, I'm always learning something new from this man, whether it's through conversation, whether we actually get together and train, or we shoot something together. It's amazing.
No, he is, and like I said, he's one of the most knowledgeable people I ever had the opportunity of speaking to, and he's very wise, and like I said, one thing that I really appreciate him for, very down to earth, very super, and he I can remember when he came on, he was like, "No, I got you, bro. Don't worry about it," and we were talking. Oh about that. And he like I said, just a like we say, just a lovely chap, as we say in England, just a lovely chap.